Hi, I'm Wendell Steinhauer, president of the New Jersey Education Association. NJEA is committed to celebrating excellence in education. That's why we're proud to support Teacher Appreciation Week, a special series produced by the Caucus Educational Corporation celebrating New Jersey's talented and dedicated teachers.
Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by the New Jersey Education Association, Wells Fargo, Englewood Hospital and Medical Center, Montclair State University, New Jersey Sharing Network, dedicated to saving lives through organ and tissue donation, Verizon, and by the North Ward Center. Promotional support provided by New Jersey Monthly, the magazine of the Garden State, available at newsstands, and by New Jersey Family Magazine and njfamily.com.
This is One-on-One. I'm an equal American just like you are.
The jobs of tomorrow are not the jobs of yesterday.
Look at this. You got this?
Here it is, man. Look at that.
Life without dance is boring.
When you first heard that they were doing Charlie Rose and Gayle King, didn't you go, what?
Do you enjoy talking politics?
No. People call me because they feel nobody's paying attention.
Our culture, I don't think, has ever been tested the way it's being tested right now.
Such a good question. High five.
Hi, I'm Steve Adubato. Welcome to the 163rd New Jersey Education Association Convention. Here in Atlantic City, we're at Convention Hall. For the next half hour, you're going to see a series of interviews that I was able to do with educators, leaders of the NJEA, authors, people who are here speaking at this convention. People often wonder what happens over these 2 days here in Atlantic City. I'll tell you, networking, professional development, a whole range of exciting and interesting things where educators come down here and are challenged by each other and people who come from out of state to bring in new ideas, innovative ways to teach, to engage students, to engage each other. For the next half hour, the NJEA convention from here in Atlantic City has been going on for 163 years. Check it out. It is our honor and pleasure to introduce the 2016-2017 New Jersey State Teacher of the Year at the NJEA convention here in Atlantic City. She is Arjeen Safari. First, congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
What was it like when you were told that you were, in fact, the Teacher of the Year?
Oh, it was all sorts of emotions. I was super excited. I couldn't believe it. I felt truly honored and blessed, and also a little scared of the amount of responsibility that this brings.
Arjeen came to the United States with her husband in 1994, immigrated to the United States from Moscow. Describe coming to this country in 1994. First of all, you had been in love with music since you were 6 years old.
Yes, I studied music since I was 6, professionally actually. And when I came to this country with my husband and my newborn daughter, it was a pretty scary experience because I was a refugee and I was really hoping to find freedom and, you know, all the dreams of becoming an American and taking advantage of all the opportunities that are here. And we really didn't have anything. There was really no money, no connections. So it was a challenge. It was a big challenge. But I think it's all those hard times that I had to go through that make this journey even more appealing and special to me.
You told me before we got on the air that you loved music as far back as you can remember, but your love of teaching.
My love of teaching came later. I always thought I was going to be a performer. I didn't think I would be a teacher. So when I came to this country, I was trying to find myself, looking to do different things. I went to school to study language, ended up getting another degree in finance and business. And while I was at school, I had different gigs and jobs as a musician, and I realized how much I loved doing it. And after graduating from college, I actually started to work in business. Actually was on Wall Street for a little bit. And meanwhile, I was doing these different things and directing musicals. And when I finally did a direct musical with a high school level, I fell in love with the experience of just working with these kids and making them feel special about themselves. And that gradually transformed me into wanting to do music, teaching. But I think the final moment was when I met this young girl in 8th grade, and she lost her father to 9/11. but she wanted to be a professional musician. And I decided to help her to get into this top performing school in New York City. And I was working with her to prepare her for this experience. It's a non-tuition free school if you get in. And she got into the school, and I can't tell you how I felt when she got into the school. It was nothing compared to any of the performing experiences I had. So I think that's when I knew. And I decided to just become a teacher after that, and I never looked back.
It's got to be very rewarding for you.
Absolutely. There is no way I can describe the feeling when you get those kids to, well, when they come to you and they say that, you know, you changed my life, you transformed me, I want to do what you do. I never thought I would be looking at the music or listening to the music the same way. That's it. That's why we are in this profession. That's why we do what we do. And the passion that I transform to my students, I transfer my love for music. I cannot imagine doing anything more rewarding.
It is my honor, my pleasure to introduce Marie Bliston, who is the Vice President of the NJEA. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Steve.
We are at the NJEA convention. There is a buzz here.
Yes. Yes.
What's all the excitement about here? Tell folks who comes down here for these 2 days and why it's so special.
Our members and our great public schools come here, Steve, from aides to bus drivers to cafeteria workers to librarians, child study team, to secretaries, to nurses, to teachers, to custodians. We're all here to better ourselves and better ourselves in our profession, and also to network with each other, and that is absolutely the buzz.
You know, for those of us who are part of the world of public broadcasting, we know some of your work, not all your teaching work. For how many years, by the way?
Oh, over 30 years in a classroom, Steve. K to 12 over those 30 years, both regular education and special education, but most of my time was spent with my passion working with students in special education.
Well, we know you as the host of Classroom Close-Up, a great program on NJTV, one of our longtime partners in public broadcasting. Tell us about hosting that program. Why do you love it?
Oh, you know what? It's truly an honor and a pleasure. I go into schools regularly to visit with our members, visit with our great public school students, and I see the fantastic things that they do. Our members go into this profession to make a difference with kids. They don't go into the profession to give themselves a pat on the back. And so they don't and are not used to saying the good things that they do. I go into those schools, I find things all over the place. I recommend them to our producer.
Wanda, who's the best.
Wanda is the best.
And by the way, we should make it clear that Classroom Close-Up in many ways profiles extraordinary things being done by educators.
Yes, and that extraordinary things, exemplary instructional lessons that can be replicated. And we have, I'm very proud to say, won, our members, 15 Emmy Awards over our 20 years. It is.
Let me ask you, if you were to say why you went into teaching 30-some
years ago. Yeah.
Why? And what drove you to, what was the hook for you?
When I was in high school, there was a student who came in from another country, could not speak English, and was completely lost. And this is before we had our fabulous ESL programs.
English as a second language.
English as a second language. And I saw him struggling, and I tried to communicate as best I could because I did not speak his language. And I was able to communicate. I helped him with school. He eventually learned English and he was well off on his way. But I got such a sense of giving back with that one experience that I thought the teaching might be something that I would go into. I went into college. I immediately got hired to work in a grant program to help subsidize my tuition, and I was sent to a place that worked with students with special needs. It was a summer camp, and it was from that point on that I knew that I wanted to dedicate my life to those students and those families. And I feel that I have helped them make a difference, and I feel in return that they have made a difference in my life.
Gabriel Tanglao is a social studies teacher and social activist. Where?
At Bergenfield High School.
So I was just talking before we got on the air. You did not intend to go into teaching right away, right?
That wasn't the original goal, no.
What was the original goal?
I actually started as a business major and then switched to a political science major.
Over at Pace?
At Pace University. That was kind of the start of my social activism, which kind of led me down the road towards education.
Social activism in 2017, define it.
Activism is just really about being aware and involved. So if we're talking about social activism, It's about raising your own social consciousness, being active in your community to advocate for issues that are actually important, not only to you, but also to your community.
Gabe, it's about helping students understand that they have a responsibility in their community to try to make things better and describing what their role is?
Absolutely. And part of it is, as an educator, we're role models for our students, right? So in an economics class or global studies class, if we're talking about being involved and being active, we would have to model that, right? So
what have you done? I want to be clear. You actually get involved.
Right.
In?
So outside of my union work and outside of the local, I'm involved at the Urban League for Bergen County Young Professionals. I'm the director of civic engagement. I'm also a member of the League of Women Voters locally in my town where I live, in Fairlawn. And it's really about mobilizing and getting people involved and active civically. So not only working with the students, but also within the community.
So it's interesting. Say someone were to say, politics isn't cool, you say?
Politics is cool. Politics is about power, right? And what we see, especially in this election, is there's...
You mean the one that just passed?
The one that just passed.
Okay.
Yeah, it's, and you know, more than ever, it's so apparent that there's a shift in different social, economic, cultural structures in our society, in American society. And to be involved and active and aware of those things is important to not only connect with the students, but again, with others.
So let me play this out for a second. Whether whoever you support in the presidential election is not the issue, but being engaged and involved is the issue. So if someone says, my candidate didn't win the presidency, I'm angry, I'm peeved, I'm out. You say?
It's not about the win or the loss. It's about being active. It's about continuing to build the power for the issues that matter to you. If it's public education to me, just because I didn't get, or we didn't get as a union or a local our way, that doesn't mean that we check out, because when you check out, you're then giving up whatever it is on the issue, or what you're giving up on your passion.
Say social justice is the issue.
Social justice, absolutely. I mean, if you look at our history, it's just been a long struggle from the beginning of our country through every decade, through every generation. So every setback, if those who pushed forward gave up, where would we be?
It is my pleasure to introduce the president of the New Jersey Education Association, Wendell Steinhauer. We are, in fact, Wendell, at the NJEA convention here in beautiful Atlantic City Convention Center.
Beautiful day, beautiful convention.
Now we are shooting at the end of 2016, talking about 2017. The world has changed in Washington. We'll see what happens in the State House in New Jersey. Let me ask you this, before we talk about New Jersey, we have a new president. President-elect Trump, as we do this program, he will be taking office in Washington, talks about education policy. Put in perspective the role of the federal government, the role of the Department of Education in New Jersey education.
Well, as you know, we've looked at the Federal Department of Education as the big intrusion into a lot of states. In New Jersey, for instance, we only get about 3% funding, not very much. But for all that they have to say, and through No Child Left Behind, Race to the Top, and now we're going into the ESSA implementation, which
What
is actually...
ESSA? You guys have a few acronyms? ESSA is?
ESSA is Every Student Succeeds Act, which was signed last December, almost a year ago, by President Obama, to replace the NCLB, No Child Left Behind Act, that was in place for 13 years. And it's supposed to be reauthorized every 5 years, so we kind of went a while on that one. The good thing about ESSA is that it's more state-driven, and that states can be putting their implementation plans in, and quite honestly, that's what's going to be needed in March of 17 or June of 17, be in place.
Let's bring it back closer to home, Wendell. Charter schools. As we do this program, we do not know where Governor Christie will wind up being in 17, whether he will in fact stay in New Jersey or go to Washington. And as I said, we never try to deceive folks as to when we're taping. It is the end of 16, as I said, in November. There's some thinking in the administration right now as to charter schools, guidelines. What are they? Why does it matter? And what do you believe makes sense or doesn't make sense about them?
Actually, just in the last 4 or 5 months, Governor Christie has really pushed on charter school reform, which translates to loosening up the guidelines on charter schools, and they just put regulations through the Department of Education right now. They're still reviewing them right now. But here's the thing with charter schools. It's been a 20-year experiment. 20 years charter schools have been in New Jersey. And they were originally to create this innovation and bring out good ideas and so on. So where we are on that is, it's time to take a pause. We're asking, let's get a study done on what charter schools have done over the 20 years. Is it fulfilling the original need? Where is it going now? And should we continue or make revisions on that?
Who would do that study? What objective arbiter, judge, would look at this and come to those conclusions?
What we believe is this would have to go through the legislature. So currently, with the current governor right now, Governor Christie, I would say nothing's going to get signed in that way. He's looking to do more of it through control of the Department of Education. As you know, he has the appointee of the commissioner there. So we're looking to possibly have a change in administration and move towards that. So it would be worked out in legislature. We will be proposing language for that, and actually have tried to get it through, but it hasn't come out of committee in the Senate.
To watch more One-on-One with Steve Adubato, find us online and follow us on social media.
We're at the New Jersey Education Association convention. There's so much activity. There's so many fascinating people to talk to, and one of the speakers who's back by popular demand. Third time you come here?
Yep, on my third.
Is Michelle Thompson, learning leader at MTK Consultants, and you are here talking today about?
Well, today my session is engaged in instructional strategies, and tomorrow I will be doing help. My kids can't sit still.
What's up with that?
That's about, again, engaging students in the learning. Research shows that particularly middle school kids, they need to move. So the focus is to help teachers, one, to get to know your students. I call it the 5 R's of classroom management: relationships, ritual routines, remediation, relevancy, which is the most important component of teaching, along with relationships, and always being a reflective learner. I am a firm believer in being a learner.
You teach teachers.
I do.
What do you love about that?
Oh my God. I love learning. And what that does, it allows me to keep one foot in the classroom while still engaging adult learners. I've been doing professional learning for at least 20 plus years. And my question was, how can I create the biggest impact on student learning? And I found that when I was in the classroom, okay, I had 30 kids per year. But when you're teaching teachers, 30 teachers, that's 900 kids I've just touched.
We're in the convention center. It's our pleasure to welcome Ed Richardson, Executive Director of the NJEA. How you doing?
Doing great, Steve. Thanks for having me on.
How many of these have you been to?
Oh, gosh. I believe this is my 29th consecutive one. I came to this convention even before I was on the staff of NJEA.
Consecutive?
Never missed it.
Because?
It's important to be here. There's so much going on here. And, earlier in my career, I worked for the State Department of Education. And so I was part of the crew that came down here. The DOE had a booth here.
Right.
And we were represented. And then I would get around to the different sessions and see what's going on.
So we are taping this program in November of 2016. It'll air after that. We have a historic event just took place. Donald Trump will be the President of the United States moving forward. He's talked a bit about education. Your thoughts and concerns about his education policies, potentially, and what it means in New Jersey?
It's hard to really anticipate where that leads us, and I say that because on the one hand, he's spoken out about things like possibly eliminating the U.S. Department of Education, but we have to remember that even before the election, a bipartisan effort was made by Congress and the Obama administration to reauthorize the Elementary and Secondary Education Act. And so the Every Student Succeeds Act was passed and signed into law. There is now a rulemaking process that's ongoing. So that really affects the underpinnings of the federal role in public education nationally. And so that law is really going to kind of define where things go. So I don't know that the election of Mr. Trump will have a great impact on that.
You can't dismantle that. Is what
No,
you're
it's a law. It's the law of the land.
It's not an executive order.
No. And as I said, the Republican Congress adopted that, and President Obama signed it. So it was a bipartisan effort. We have no reason to think that that's going to change going forward. And so we're going to continue the work within New Jersey of developing the state plan to implement the law in New Jersey. That then goes on to the local level starting next fall. So, that's the focus, I think, within our state right now. I don't know what the Trump administration may do, again, with the Congress moving forward to affect other things that may, kind of change the landscape, things that may affect our role as a union, for example. And so that all remains to be seen.
Lisa Fenari-Williver, who is the author of the Nikki Fifth series. Is it really 25 books?
10 in the series.
10 in the series,
and
25
then 25
books overall.
total.
But you have a new book in the Nikki Fifth series. What's it called?
Nikki Fifth Fit.
Fit. Now, what's up with this? By the way, this series, you started what year?
92.
92. Describe the series, its genesis, and then we'll talk about Nikki Fifth Fit.
The series, I was a 4th grade teacher, and my job was to teach New Jersey. And by law, I had to teach it. Teach
about New Jersey.
Yeah, but by law, the kids didn't have to be bored, and they were. So I thought by putting it into literature and funny stories and adventures, a little humor, the kids would understand the state through the literature. And this is the 10th book that came out today. So they're all Jersey-centric, but they have different side topics like environment, politics, government, wellness, environmental science, education. So there's a lot for everybody.
Let's talk about this book, Nikki Fifth Fit, because it's important for our health, the health of our children, and it's also made possible by the folks at
Horizon Foundation for New Jersey.
They help make this possible.
Without them, we wouldn't have been able to bring this book to the teachers today. Right now, we will give away 25,000 free copies. We have a line out the door right now, and our team is creating bags and giving every teacher 25 free copies of this book to bring back to their classrooms and share with their students.
What is in there that makes it so valuable?
It's about wellness. It's not just about diet. It's not just about exercise. It's about picking things that are healthy. It's about healthier choices. It's about being active. It's about sleep. It's about stress. It's about making good choices. So it's a very comprehensive book. And in the story, Nikki's father has diabetes. So he just finds out, and the characters do a lot of research to find out what do you do to not get diabetes, or if you have it, to treat it.
And it's also very relevant because they're real life examples, like the Healthy You initiative is in there. That you
Austin
know about.
the Unstoppable.
Yeah, Austin the Unstoppable. We actually did a special, right, Lauren, the Austin the Unstoppable character, which is fabulous, right?
It's in the book.
It's in the book. Now, did you bring something for me?
I did. I brought you a signed book.
You got a signed book?
Yeah.
This is awesome.
You need the signed book.
This is to me.
It is.
And by the way, I'm going to reread this. I'm not going to read it.
It was for another Steve, but I figured I'd bring it for you.
Stop it! You heard it. Is that true?
No.
Okay, that's true. By the way, thank you. I'm going to make sure that I'm not going to read this to our kids. I'm going to make sure they read it out loud to us. And you have something else.
I do. Well, this is the Horizon Foundation for New Jersey, who sponsored this project.
By the way, big supporters of public broadcasting. Just want to make it clear.
And wellness for kids in New Jersey. And this is a cover of the book. And this is a signed shirt for you, Steve.
This is fabulous. What a wonderful gift. It's very kind of you.
Thank you.
My honor and pleasure to introduce Mr. Mark Weber, music educator in Warren Township, and he's a blogger known as the Jersey Jazz Man. How you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Where'd you get that moniker?
I'm a jazz musician. That's my training. I played for years and then started taking on students and decided I love teaching kids, and I've got the best job in the world. I teach something I love, and I teach to kids. It's the perfect job.
So here's the thing, and by the way, people can check out your website. We'll put it up there because you talk about a lot of interesting issues. You believe that educators need to be more engaged in conversation, public conversation about important issues like charter schools, school funding, pensions, teacher evaluations, because?
Because we're the experts. I mean, who else should be leading this conversation except us? You wouldn't set medical policy without talking to doctors. You wouldn't set legal policy without talking to lawyers. You wouldn't set standards for building bridges without talking to engineers and architects. But over and over again, Steve, we've been left out of the conversation. When Governor Christie put together his Educator Effectiveness Task Force, there wasn't one NJEA member on that task force. There was only one working teacher who was on that task force. That makes no sense to me. How could we possibly come up with good education policy unless we teachers are involved?
So let me ask you, as devil's advocate, do you mean teachers getting political, if you will, in the classroom or just in public forums?
Well, some people would say that teaching is in and of itself a political act. I work very hard, and I think the vast majority of my colleagues work very hard to make students feel like all points of view are acceptable, although it's our primary job to teach critical thinking. So
define that for people, critical thinking.
Critical thinking is being able to look at the issues, being able to look at the facts, to be able to determine what is a fact and what is an opinion. I think that's a core skill that we teach all kids. I certainly try to do that in my classroom. And it's important that they do this in order for them to become citizens.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by the New Jersey Education Association, Wells Fargo, Englewood Hospital and Medical Center, Montclair State University, New Jersey Sharing Network, Verizon, and by the North Ward Center. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.
New Jersey is a leader in solar power, and PSE&G is doing its part. With 24 solar installations in New Jersey, projects that are giving landfills new purpose and turning former brownfields green. Solar powers more than our homes and schools and businesses. It powers our economy by creating jobs right here in the Garden State. PSE&G, proud to support New Jersey.